Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the August 13th, 2025 East Lansing Planning Commission meeting. We are starting at our new time at 6:30, and I'm glad to see everyone here. Mr. Bartley, would you take roll, please?
I will. Commissioner Chapin.
Here.
Commissioner Denault.
Here.
Commissioner Hendricks. Commissioner Lapine.
Here.
Commissioner Overbey.
Here.
Commissioner Putz. Commissioner Sobolewski. Vice Chair Wagner.
Here.
And Chair Sullivan. We have quorum.
Excellent, thank you. Moving on to 1.2, approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Denault, seconded by Commissioner Overbey. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to 1.3, approval of the minutes from 7/23. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Overbey and seconded by Commissioner Lapine. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Okay. On to topic 2, committee reports. 2.1, Age-Friendly Communities Committee. Commissioner Chapin, do you have any announcements?
We have a meeting next week. I don't have anything other than that. I think we're up to date. Landon?
Yeah, our meeting on Thursday morning will be to review the drafts
I'm
of
sorry,
the...
not next week, tomorrow.
No, next
It
week.
is next
Next
week.
Thursday. You had me panic for a second, but on the 21st
All right.
in the morning, the Age-Friendly Communities Committee will
Yes.
meet, and they'll be reviewing the draft of the updated work plan, and we hope to have that to the Planning Commission likely at a September meeting for review. And that's all for Age-Friendly. Mr. Chair, can I keep going?
Of course, please.
Comprehensive Plan Update Coordinating Committee has not met in a couple months. I hope to email out to them this evening or tomorrow some good news, assuming and hoping that the Planning Commission decides to adopt the comprehensive plan. And I do expect that we will have some meetings in future months, probably in September, maybe October, to do sort of a debrief and talk about next steps for the plan and implementation. I also want to let you know that on October 2nd, that's a Thursday, the first Thursday in October, we'll be having a little celebration of the comprehensive plan adoption and a little public rollout, which will be downtown on Ann Street Plaza, sort of in the afternoon into the evening. We'll have live music and ice cream and lots of fun things, as fun as the comprehensive plan update can get. So we look forward to that.
Good for
Can
you.
only imagine.
And it's been a great process. I've really been impressed with the coordinating committee and their work and oversight, and really want to thank them. And then the Green Code
Do we
Study
have the
Committee.
votes for that tonight, do you think?
I'm sorry.
What's that?
I was wondering if we had the votes for that approval tonight. I hope so.
I'm hoping so. The Green Code Study Committee met last week and will meet again soon. We've been talking about non-zoning ordinance related code sections, specifically focusing on multifamily recycling, on tree protection requirements or replacements. We're going to start moving into zoning ordinance recommendations next, which will look at landscaping requirements, we'll look at parking requirements. It's going to be potentially a lot. I could see the Green Code Study Committee saying, let's get into a lot of this. It's going to be a question of how to narrow down the focus, I think, but I'm looking forward to that. And then we expect that to go on for another 3 meetings or so, and then we'll move on to sort of wrapping up the committee, making sure that we haven't missed any code sections that we really want to talk about. And the next step will be to bring recommendations to council, and then the zoning ordinance related recommendations would come to the Planning Commission as well. So that's my update for committee reports.
Great. Thank you very much. Would you like to continue with number 3, agenda items, staff reports?
I would love to.
Thank you.
Last night, council met and took action on a couple items that you've seen recently. There was a public hearing for the request by the graduate to expand the rooftop dining area on the rock bar in the outdoor area. That was a public hearing. We expect the city council to look at that again, likely in their second business meeting of September. I also mentioned that we've recently received an application from the graduate to explore additional parking spaces on Evergreen that would serve as staging spaces for their valet service. That was quite a topic of discussion among council last night. And as it was at Planning Commission, if we're expanding the rooftop operation, more seats, more people, what would the implications be for the parking situation, which is currently kind of strained in that area anyway. The gas station proposed by Meyer at the northwest corner of Lake Lansing and Abbott was approved. The proposed Land Shark expansion from 214 to 200 additional 28 occupants. I'm forgetting the exact number, but that was discussed, postponed. We expect them to come back also in September. And then Ordinance 1546 about diverse housing requirements, other than sort of a restriction on transferring credits from projects that are receiving public financing, local public incentives would be restricted, and that was approved. So wanted to update you on that. Today we do have a presentation from OHM about wellhead protection. You'll see a little box in our comprehensive plan that talks about wellhead protection, just to say, yes, we're continuing to protect our wellheads, and that's part of our priority, especially as far as climate resilience goes. So I look forward to that presentation. And then finally, I just want to mention, introduce our planning and zoning intern, Sonia Koenig. Sonia has joined us last couple months and has been doing some great work, some of which you've seen in all the work that you'll see this evening when we discuss the diverse housing requirements. She's been working on that. So Sonia's been a great addition to the team. We're lucky to have her until December. So I just wanted to introduce her. I think that's it for my staff reports. If you have any questions. Okay, thank you.
Commissioners, questions?
Landon, I just had
Yes.
one question, just to confirm. You mentioned the Meyer gas station on Lake Lansing, and it was approved?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Also, one more thing. First, we should note that Commissioner Putz arrived just after taking of the roll. And also, we have new microphones. If the light is on, it's not muted. You don't have to touch it. Our crew here is taking care of the microphones. So just to note that we have those. Your voices will be loud and clear and beautiful. So that's all.
Great, thank you, Mr. Bartley. Moving on to agenda topic number 4, commissioner announcements. This is the time, commissioners, if you have any disclosures of conflicts of interest to come forward. Anyone have any conflicts of interest for our agenda this evening? Okay, thank you. Moving on to topic number 5, communications from citizens. I don't think I saw any written communications this evening in our packet.
That's correct.
Okay, we'll move on to 5.2, verbal from the audience. This is the audience's chance to speak directly with the Planning Commission. If you'd like to speak, we ask you to fill out a speaker card with your name and address and limit your comments to 5 minutes. We do have one card. It's from Ms. Freeman. Ms. Freeman, would you like to speak now, or would you like to wait until we talk about
1384.
Yes,
Okay,
13.
Can I speak real briefly, and then I'll be here for further comments?
Yes, sure.
Questions?
Sure, please come to the microphone.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Good evening, everybody. Commissioners, let's see, like I said, I'll try to be real brief. I know you guys are discussing this at length later on, and I will certainly be here to help answer questions, talk about it more if you need me. I believe my cohort, Greg Ballline, should be here as well. In any event, just want you to guys have these thoughts in mind. The cost to live in East Lansing is increasing exponentially with no relief in sight. East Lansing has significant debts and liabilities that need to be addressed and paid, and as of right now, that's likely coming out of our individual pockets. Students are increasing at MSU every year on average by about 753 new students, but no student housing has been provided in East Lansing in the last 5 years, and MSU has no plans that we're aware of to offer that. The students are forced basically to live mostly outside of downtown or in other communities, and I think we're losing and missing out on the vibrancy and the benefit that the students, which are a huge part of our community, bring to our downtown. East Lansing's comprehensive plan update told us that the residents are desiring greater housing density in the downtown core. The residents want to prioritize redevelopment along the transit corridors and opening up Ordinance 1384 by adding the fee-in-lieu and providing more options, more flexibility to promote development in our community is going to help all of these things. And since 2016, when this ordinance was put in place, there has been one single development. Again, I know I'm beating a dead horse with this, but one development that could meet these requirements. And that ordinance just doesn't work as is. And it's going to be potentially a long process to see some of these benefits, so moving it fast and forward and along quickly is in our best interest. We have the Howard on the horizon as well that could be part of this, which could help with the rebirth of our city and the growth and all of these changes that we want to see. And again, in order to make sure we can have that opportunity, we need to get this moving forward. So I'm just asking you again today to please give us the opportunity to present our information to council by referring this up to them today, at least the fee in lieu. And I wanted to make one note. I know you guys are going to talk about housing choice vouchers. I just want to make sure that everyone knows that's Section 8, which it's not necessarily going to promote our development of downtown. I think one of the Planning Commission members, I can't remember which one of you, said in our last meeting that that wasn't necessarily something we were looking for in downtown. And I think the fee in lieu could be a better option for that, because even just doing the Howard project, you'd have $2 million going into a fund, which then maybe you could create some kind of voucher program there, create some kind of down payment provision for people in need to buy a house in our community. I wanted to add one extra thing. I know you guys might be considering any other changes to the ordinance, and I didn't necessarily see it on your agenda, but don't forget about the sunset provision. I think it could be really valuable if you guys do make a change to our ordinance to have a sunset so it can be reviewed and looked at again. Thank you all so much, and I'll be here if you need me.
Great. Thank you very much for your comments. Are there any people on the telephone who wish to speak at this time? Okay. Great. That concludes the verbal from the audience. Moving on to 5.3, we have a presentation from OHM Advisors about the wellhead protections.
Hello.
Welcome.
All right, did it work?
Yeah.
There we go. Hi, I'm Christine Spitzley. I'm with OHM Advisors, but I'm actually giving this presentation today on behalf of the City of Lansing's Wellhead Protection Team. So I'm glad that you mentioned that you have wellhead protection as a priority for sustainability in your community. That's wonderful to hear that you're aware of that. I have a lot of screens that opened up over top of this. So I would ask from the beginning, how many of you are familiar with wellhead protection as a planning commission and have worked on that at all? Okay. So East Lansing Meridian Water and Sewer Authority takes point on your wellhead protection plan, and you have a very well done and a very active plan. It's currently being updated right now, and it covers both the city of East Lansing and Meridian Township, so it's done jointly, and it has been for at least the last 20 years. And so wellhead protection is designed to protect public water supplies. It's a mandate from EPA that is sent down to the states, who can make it mandatory or voluntary. Michigan has made it voluntary with carrots. So we have had a program in Michigan, I think, since 1997. So the idea is to protect your groundwater, of which you're about 100% dependent in this community, from contamination, which there not only protects public health, but reduces treatment costs. So this is a very old graphic that I've been using for about 35 years that we created when wellhead protection first started in this region. And it just shows town A and town B and how they share this common aquifer. So this area you draw for something called the Saginaw Formation, and you share this water, as you're aware, with the city of Lansing, East Lansing, Delta, Delhi, Bath, Watertown. All of you draw from the same source, and most of you are interconnected, even if it's just for emergency interconnects. So don't wait for a picture to come up, because this is the picture of the Saginaw Aquifer, and it's really just meant to illustrate you can't see it, and when people can't see, they don't value, right? If you have a big pothole, people see it, they feel it, you hear about it. It's really rare that you're gonna have someone call you and say, hey, can you protect my groundwater this year? Can you make that a priority? And yet they rely on it every day. So this just shows what the aquifer looks like. So wellhead protection, how is it done? So as I said, it came from EPA. The state of Michigan has these mandates. It's basically these things. You have a wellhead protection team, which is established. So East Lansing Meridian Water Authority facilitates it, but you have lots of voices on there. Your team has the health department, probably U.S. Geological Survey, local businesses, citizens, and adjacent communities. So there was a lot of thought put into what kind of members should be a part of it and have a say in how it can be protected. And then there's something called a delineation. And in Michigan, that means 10-year time of travel. So they take all of your drinking water wells and they say, how far is water gonna travel to this wellhead in 10 years? And then you project it to the surface and you look at those land uses. And so you look and then you say, what are potential sources of contamination? What could be our management approaches? Is it zoning? Is it site plan review? Is it building codes? What can you do to protect your drinking water? And there's contingency plans, which are required by the feds and the state, plans for new wells, and then public participation in education and outreach. So it's a pretty robust program. Like I said, you've been doing it for a long time. And something else that you've participated in, your planning staff has in the past, is we have done wellhead protection audits of what you are doing. So we have gone through your zoning ordinances, your site plan reviews, your building codes, and your comprehensive plan, and said, are you doing all of these things, and kind of giving you a scorecard, and then came back and did it again 5 years later. So you have a pretty good idea of where your strengths and weaknesses are. We've done a SWOT analysis, all of that. So, and the bonus is, and it doesn't affect your community as much as it would a Delhi or a Delta, but it also protects private wells. In a lot of parts of the country, those delineations that I talked about, which kind of end up being like these kind of circles or ovals all over the, the land surface, they do overlay zoning, overlay planning, which as a planner, I thought that sounded like a nightmare, to have to stand at the counter and literally define a line in the sand to a developer and have to argue that. So all over the Tri-County region, when they do wellhead protection, they do it for the entire community. So it not only protects your current municipal wells, it protects your future municipal well supply and your private homeowners if you still have constituents that are on private wells. So we like to think that was a pretty forward-thinking thing. So public participation, education, and outreach, that's what I wanted to share with you. This is a new tool that came from the City of Lansing's wellhead protection team. And it is, are any of you familiar with story maps? Have you seen story maps? Well, Esri GIS has renamed them, and they now call them Esri GIS experiences, but it's a story map. So they work the same way. So they're basically interactive information websites. We've created one basically for adults or citizens and one for kids and teachers. So I'm just gonna go through the highlights. I didn't dare log in live on this thing. It's just something that always goes wrong. So I took a bunch of screenshots. I'm gonna share it with you. And then we have some cards to share that you can look at it later. This is to understand where your water comes from, how is it treated, distributed, what's being done to protect it, what you can do to protect it, and sources for more information. Now, that being said, it was done by Lansing, so it's a little Lansing-centric. You're gonna see the pictures, whatever. The information is gonna be very similar to what you have in your community. So you can see across the top there, we start with sources of your drinking water. You all have the same source in this area. What is the water system? How do you protect it? And then more information. So this is a graphic on the bottom right-hand side. You can see Boise Tower, you can see the Capitol, you can see Winkum, Blinken, and Nod. And if you click on any of those little red arrows there, it would tell you more about the water conditioning plant, more about municipal wells, more about fire hydrants or distribution lines. And you can click, you can also see the boxes on the left-hand side, the same thing. So it's really like you click and it takes you through the whole experience rather than just being a static website. And then the next thing is protecting our water. And you can see we have mapping and monitoring, identifying risks, setting rules, and the rules would be, what are your ordinances, what are your management strategies, collaborating with others, and then planning for emergencies. Under planning for emergencies, we just reference that your emergency plans are there, they're not live connected or in any way, because a lot of that comes under security. So it's just a reassurance to your community that those are in fact in place. And you have one that's required by EPA and one that's required by the state of Michigan, so you are doubly covered. And also the mapping and monitoring, are you all familiar with the wellhead protection viewer that's housed at Tri-County Regional Planning Commission? You might be having a presentation coming up. I'm not sure if they are going to come and present. It is an interactive mapping tool that you can go in, you could pick the Hannah Center, and you could do a half-mile radius on it. And you could click the different watersheds, you could click hospitals, you could click leaking underground storage tanks, open or close, you can put landfills. Pretty much anything that would affect your community or your location. You can do it as a radius study, you can print them off as PDFs. So they're very, very useful if you want to do a site plan review. You can pull up all the environmental information, you can do private wells, public wells, it's all available. And the last one for this one is more resources. So the Board of Water and Light, they have linked their water quality report, Tri-County Planning's Groundwater Management Board, and then the state of Michigan. So lots of great resources there. Then the next one we did for fun was for 2nd through 4th grade, although I think you could go a little bit lower or a little bit higher based on what we did. There used to be a Children's Water Festival that we hosted regionally every year at Michigan State University. Do you remember that? No, we did it. We have like 2004th, and I say we all the time because I worked at Tri-County Planning for 26 years, so I have an identity crisis sometimes. I forget that I'm not. But so that was done for a long time. We had about 40,000 students that went through it over the years, and we no longer could have it at the university. There wasn't just the reception wasn't there to have that event anymore. So we've tried to do a lot of things over the years, and one of them was to create this kind of the best of the best from that water festival. And so it is 5 days of interactive lessons that can be done by anyone. They could be done by a teacher for a classroom. They could do a whole week. They could do once a week for 5 weeks, however it worked. Or it could be done if you had homeschool or if your kids were bored in the summer, whatever you might want to, or you're a babysitter, whatever it might be. And so the first day, for example, is what is water made of? How do you make a water molecule out of 2 gumdrops and a marshmallow? And then you talk about the how long does it take? Maybe you draw it, you model it, you eat it, there's a vocabulary that's tied to them all, and the learning objectives. So it's a really good, package way for teachers to teach about water. We talk about contamination is another one. There's another activity called aquaflurries where they use ice and soda, and they seal it with ice cream as a confining layer, and then you put a straw in it for a well, you sprinkle jimmies on it for pollution, and you have them drain the well, and they can recharge it with more pop. Very, very popular, but something that they can really remember, how does an aquifer work? And then how is drinking water made? It's really hard to support classrooms to get them out for field trips anymore. Buses are expensive, budgets are cut, all of those things. So even the Lansing Board of Water and Light really struggles to have, the Dye Water Plant is an absolutely gorgeous historic building, but it's really not meant for tours of 2nd graders to come through. So they made a great video of how water is conditioned at the dye plant. And it's not very long, less than 10 minutes, I think it's 5, and you kind of go through and see how water is made in real life, and then, as your kids drive by there, they can see. So, oh yeah, I've seen the inside of that. So that was pretty much the last one. So that really brings me to the end. I just wanted to share that resource, that these are available. Again, I've got these cards. On one side is the QR code for the children's lessons. On the other side is the QR code for the adult one. So I am happy to answer any questions that you may have, or about your wellhead, any of it.
Commissioners have any questions? No?
Criticisms, suggestions, we'll take it all.
This is great. I think it was a great overview. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for giving us this overview. And
You're very welcome.
and do you have QR codes for everyone, or one card?
Oh, I have a stack here.
Awesome.
I have a stack, so you should.
Pass that out.
Great.
Yeah,
Okay.
and if you need more, we can get.
My only regret is that you didn't bring the ice cream and the soda.
I know.
I know.
Now I'm
I know.
kinda
The
hungry. The
activity, I
Jimmy's
need to
on
know
it?
how an
It is
aquifer
such
works.
a powerful tool. It really,
Yeah.
that sounds so silly, but it really, really is. It really is. And we have another one called gooey garbage, where you take a milk jug and cut it in half and line it with a plastic bag, and you put in dog food and cereal and syrup and ketchup and mustard and all these toilet paper and dirt, and what would go in a landfill. You have something represent each of the waste streams. Then you put water on it, and then you poke a hole in your liner, and you have leachate, and it's just so disgusting. And I tell you what, elementary school boys love that one more than anything. It's quite popular, so. Well, thank you for having me. It was nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, you don't want to look at that for the rest of the meeting?
Oh, we got it, we're good.
I got cut. I got the hook.
Okay, thanks for that presentation. We'll move on to our public hearings. Agenda topic 6.1. We have a public hearing to receive comments on ordinance 1554, a proposed rezoning of 314, 328, 334, and 340, AKA 344, Evergreen Avenue, from RM32, City Center Multiple Family Residential, to B3, City Center Commercial. Mr. Bartley.
Yes, thank you. So these properties, DDA's Evergreen properties, have been vacant, are currently listed for sale. And the zoning changed several times since 2017, basically between 2017 and 2018, back and forth between RM32 and B3. So RM32 being the City Center Multifamily Residential, and B3 being City Center Commercial. At the end of going back and forth several times, those properties ended up being RM32. So they've been zoned as RM32. However, it appears to have been everyone's impression that they were actually zoned B3, including staff, council. We've been marketing these properties as B3, and so this rezoning request is essentially intended to be a fix of a misunderstanding, I guess. I'll share my screen to show which properties we're talking about. So on the screen right now, this is our GIS system, and the street layout isn't completely accurate. You can see how Evergreen Avenue, this is essentially an old street layout, but the properties that I've highlighted here, these are on the north side of Albert. So the Graduate Hotel is down to the south. This block, the Abbott, MSUFC would be just to the east. So you have these four residential. These four highlighted properties that are the ones in question. And so we'd be seeking to have these changed from RM32 to B3. And that is the request. The DDA held a special meeting on July 9th to discuss this zone change and voted unanimously in support of changing the zoning from RM32 to B3. Council introduced the ordinance shortly afterwards and has referred it to you today. And I know that DDA and DDA staff is asking for a vote this evening if you feel comfortable. Again, we sort of see this as something of a technical fix. And so if the commission is amenable to that, we would ask for a vote. I do know that we have staff from the DDA here tonight that can speak to this if you have any questions for them. or if you have any questions for me at this point.
Any commissioners have questions for Mr. Bartley?
I thought the packet material was pretty clear. Thought it was a nice batch of information for us to review, and I'm certainly influenced by the DDA's unanimous support of this. So I think that is a little hedge on how I'm going to vote as we put a motion in play. Have a good packet info. Thank you.
Mr. Bartley, do you know why it kept changing from RM32 to B3? It seems strange.
There were development projects proposed at that time, including the Graduate, including the Abbott, including a different parcel Evergreen or Valley Court now. I wasn't here at the time, and I really can't give too much detail. I don't know. We've looked at minutes. I think Councilmember Meadows might be able to shed some light, and also we have staff here who was here at the time.
We used RM32 as sort of a holding zoning on these properties after the DDA purchased them. And then as development projects were proposed for it, we'd bump it up to B3 because that was part of the project proposal. But every one of the projects, as you're probably aware, eventually fell through on this property. So even this property was originally part of the Abbott and the Graduate project. Then they withdrew from that. Then they came back for more on that particular piece of property. And when it was under an agreement to purchase for, I think, 2 years at some point, with the project going to go for offices, which, as we know, that's not going to happen anymore. So we would zone it up, then zone it back so that it would stay in the holding pattern until we actually had a project. I think we're on the verge of a project, so I really think this is a very good idea.
Okay, great. Thank you for that context. Any other questions?
I realize that, I think that Councilman Meadows' explanation was really helpful. Do we have a sense, or maybe it's not appropriate yet, but do we have a sense if this has gone back and forth between these two zoning types? It's quite close to the Graduate, obviously, and they've been involved in the past. Landon, you alluded to the fact that we have a parking proposal that's coming before us. Do we have any sense of whether this is, if it is to be zoned as B3, would a expansion of parking be something that would be amenable within the B3 type?
No.
Okay.
I'm not aware of a currently proposed project or what kind of parking that would include, but the B3 district actually does not permit new parking unless waived
Okay.
by the Planning Commission for need.
Okay, because I'm thinking that this area already it's very challenging to park anywhere around there. So that's just helpful context for me. Thank you.
Sure.
Can I make a comment there? I just want to make clear that we had parking as some prior projects on this particular site. It would be city-owned property, though, city-owned parking as a result of that, because the B3 does pretty much prohibit private parking within the B3 district. You have to use municipal parking to park in it. So we
Okay.
have had parking, and I think that all the city council members are aware
Yeah.
that we need more parking in the west part of the city.
Okay, so just to make sure that I'm following, it could be B3, but since this is something that the DDA has purchased, there could potentially be parking that the city would add. In a hypothetical.
A former developer sitting up here, and he can tell you that parking is usually part of the complex discussion that takes place with regard to any project that we're seeing in the B3 district.
Okay,
So it's all part of the negotiation, as I guess I'm telling you.
So these properties would likely be sold to a private party. And if they were to develop that property, they could request to develop parking as well. It's currently prohibited.
Within B3.
Except within the B3 district, thank you. It would be, new parking is prohibited except as waived by Planning Commission and by Extension Council.
okay,
If there is a need. Otherwise, the project would be expected to use a municipal parking system, but if there's a need, if there's not availability, if they can show that there's a demonstrated need that would exceed what's currently nearby, if there's a need for accessibility,
Okay.
then the Planning Commission and City Council would typically waive that requirement and allow new parking.
So we could essentially decide to move forward with making it B3. It would come back to us if if a developer wanted to add additional parking. We would have to waive certain components of the B3 zoning requirements for them to develop parking.
Correct.
Wow, okay. I'm tracking.
Yeah, it does seem,
We
it
got there.
seems like B3
It
is more
seems-
flexible, but it
You
does say
think?
here, B3 zoning does not allow allow new on-site parking without an explicit waiver, so
Yeah.
maybe someone could come to us about it. But it is from 4 to 8 stories, so it seems to be a little more flexible. Any other questions or comments? I think, does anyone feel comfortable with a motion, making a motion for this ordinance?
Sure.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion. It appears to me the way we have this phrase in the packet, Landon, is that we are recommending that the city council approve. Is that correct? Okay, so I would move that we recommend approval by the city council of ordinance 1554 to rezone 314 Evergreen Avenue, PN 33-20-01-13-228-015. Also 328 Evergreen Avenue, PN 33-20-01-13-228-014. 334 Evergreen Avenue, PN 33-20-01-13-228-008, and 340 Evergreen Avenue, also AKA 344 Evergreen Avenue, PN 33-01-13-228-007 from RM 32 City Center Multiple Family Residential to B3 City Center Commercial.
Thank you for that wonderful motion.
It was really impressive.
Is there a
I
second?
noticed,
Cynthia would be proud if she's out there watching.
I noticed nobody else volunteered to make that motion. There was a pause.
I'll second it.
Second. Okay, the motion has been wonderfully made by Commissioner Chapin and seconded by Commissioner Putz. Excuse me, is there any discussion? Mr. Bartley?
If I can just make a comment, for the future, in sample motions, when I bold the text, that's what you're meant to read. If it's not bolded, you don't need to read it, but I really appreciate the extra detail. So
What
thank you.
is the PN?
That's the parcel number.
Oh, parcel number, okay.
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 So noted.
Okay, then let's vote on it. All in favor of this, of recommending to council approval of 1554, say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Okay, thank you. We will move on to unfinished business. 7.1, this is a discussion of a potential amendment to section 1594 of the zoning ordinance that would allow transfer of per-unit credits from projects outside of downtown, introduce a fee-in-lieu option, and/or change the weighting of various housing types in association with the diverse housing requirement for certain developments in downtown East Lansing. Mr. Bartley.
Thank you, and noting that Commissioner Hendricks has arrived at 7:10.
Yes, welcome.
This item is a discussion item intended to continue previous discussions from your July 9th and July 23rd meetings. I think we've discussed the city's diverse housing requirement in some detail, in which a certain area of downtown, essentially the DDA district west of Collingwood, has a diverse housing requirement in which multifamily residential units, at least 20 new proposed multifamily residential units are subject to a requirement that says 25% of those units must be diverse, either owner-occupied, affordable, 55 plus, or some other type on a case-by-case basis. As you know, you've reviewed a recent ordinance to restrict some transfer of credits when for projects that exceed. That was adopted by council last night. This is intended to be separate from that ordinance, and the goal today is really to have the Planning Commission discuss or continue discussing this housing requirement, whether changes should be made, and make recommendations to council for essentially a deeper dive. So we've talked about certain concepts, specifically should the transfer of diverse housing unit credits be allowed from outside of the core DDA area in which it's currently required? Should certain diverse housing types be weighted differently than other types? City Manager Bellman had written a letter to the Planning Commission that's in your packet that suggested to weight owner-occupied condo units a little bit more than the other types, reflecting a priority of introducing more condos into the downtown. Should housing choice voucher units be included in the mix as affordable housing or otherwise? And then finally, should a fee-in-lieu program be established that would essentially allow a developer to pay a fee at a certain rate per unit to be used in some way to meet the goals of the diverse housing requirement? I would caution the Planning Commission against getting too deep into the details of any of these. Really, what we're looking for is you've had some really good discussion and I think really good thought, and we've had some members of the public, developers, attorneys who are here tonight can speak to you about their experiences. We have a significant amount of research, and I mentioned Sonia, our intern, has been really helpful with that. And we've spoken to different cities. We've spoken to Chapel Hill this week. We're going to be speaking to Boulder next on Monday. We've been sort of understanding the learned lessons from these other cities that have similar ordinances, and those have been reflected in your packet as well. I also mentioned in my email today that we received a presentation from Mr. Bauline, who is interested in presenting that tonight if you're willing to have him present. But just to sort of at the end of the discussion, I guess we're looking for the Planning Commission to say, City Council, we would like you to look more closely at these different options for the diverse housing requirement, or something that hasn't been contemplated yet, if that's the pleasure of the Commission. So hoping for, I think we'd prefer a motion at the end of this discussion tonight of some sort recommending a closer look at any or all of these concepts by council, who would then direct staff to create ordinance language based on at their guidance, at their direction, and then we would then create that language, have council introduce and refer it, and it would come back to the Planning Commission, at which time you'd have much more detailed language. Ms. Freeman, in her public comments earlier tonight, also suggested a sunset provision. That could certainly be a recommendation too if the Commission is so inclined. So if you'd like me to discuss any certain concept that we've talked about in more detail, open up for discussion. If you have questions for me, if you wanted to invite any of the folks who are here tonight to speak on this, I know they'd like to, I'd open it up from there.
Great, thank you very much. So normally you provide, or the city provides, city staff provide a sample motion, and I see there was none in here tonight.
That's correct.
So if we want to make a motion, would you help us sort of formulate the language?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So I'll open it up to commissioners. Any thoughts, ideas, questions? I know we discussed this at length last time, and thank you very much, by the way, for the additional information. So I think it was very thorough. We got a lot of things, a lot of answers to questions about what certain things meant. So I'm very happy for that. Any questions?
I do have a question. So one of the things that I didn't understand in all of our discussions was the financing for developments that included this requirement. We were led to understand that it was difficult to get financing. Why is that? Why is it difficult to get the financing with this requirement? What is it about the 25% that made that difficult? I don't understand that.
I'm passing on information that I've heard third hand from developers who have told me, and I'm sure I'm sure they or other staff who might be able to weigh in on this as well. But basically, they've said it's just difficult to get financing when the unit types in your building are different. So if you have an all market rate building, and I would say that would be separate from like business uses on the ground floor, for example. The residential component, if you start to have a mix, can start to just complicate the financing picture, and banks or other lenders may not be as interested. It might be harder to turn that property over in the future. That said, I don't have any personal knowledge of that. I'm not. That's what I've heard from developers. I definitely need to defer to them on the sort of actual practice and how that's worked out.
Right.
We have heard recently from a potential developer that they're aware of projects that have affordable units on certain units that have received public incentives, and then market rate incentives or market rate units elsewhere in the same building that have received financing. I don't know how that changed the terms or how that changed the viability of the project. We believe there may be some options, but I'm somewhat hesitant to speculate beyond that.
Thank you for your honest answer. I appreciate it.
I have two questions, if you don't mind.
Sure, of course.
So the research that was done was super helpful, particularly the condensed kind of table that's in here that breaks things down. Seeing the X's is helpful for me. So thank you for that. I continue to have a question about what's proposed from what is in the Ohio ordinances compared to what it looks like other cities are using for their in lieu of fee. The suggested language that continues to be in here is $5,000 per unit. That seems significantly lower than every other city that's included in the table. So can you help me understand that suggestion?
The $5,000 number came from a private party, Mr. Boley and Ms. Freeman. We have, in our discussions and research from other communities, have found that is very, very low. Typically, we've been seeing things more like 80,000 to 85,000,
Yep.
100,000. In our conversations with Chapel Hill, they said, I think they're at 85,000 right now, and they're intending to raise that. They found that the 85,000 wasn't quite bringing enough into the fund to make it, I guess, to make the development or incentivizing meaningful to meet their goals. And I don't know, Sonia, if you have anything you want to add, but if you do, come on.
I mean, it's mostly.
Look at that, I'm making Sonia kind of, okay, I think our intern speak to the planning commission in our first meeting. So.
Thank you. I would say if it's a lower fee, then it's going to incentivize developers to just pay that fee and get out of it. But if you raise up that fee, it incentivizes a little bit more of the mixed income housing that we've been talking about. So it's kind of like thinking about what you want. Do you want it to be more mixed income housing, or do you want it to be more condensed? I mean, not necessarily saying that the fees will go to only like low income housing or senior housing or whatever. Like it could go towards mixed income housing that the city would build. But I think you just have to think about what you want in that. Do you want more mixed income housing or potentially something else?
Mm-hmm. And I think that's super helpful. Thank you for that. Out of all of the options, I think that we certainly have room in the city to provide some more options to developers. I am least comfortable with the current conversation around the in lieu of payment piece.
Yeah.
I think in order for me to be more comfortable, I would want it to be a higher amount per unit, more in alignment with other cities that are doing that. I don't see $5,000 per unit moving us in any meaningful direction of truly developing more affordable housing. So maybe that's just a point later when we talk about a motion, but that's where my head is at right now. My other question, Landon, is there's some examples from Ann Arbor that are included in here. My read is that these are all documents documenting conversations that have occurred within the city and that they have not adopted the in lieu of option yet. These all look like notes and minutes to me, but nothing that's changed their ordinance. Is that correct, or am I interpreting it incorrectly, which is always possible?
The Ann Arbor items.
Those were shared by Carrie.
What page, Lauren?
They start on, hang on,
I'm not sure.
on page 70 of the full
Okay.
agenda report.
Oh, yeah.
There's a memo that's Ann Arbor, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4 sites that are listed. So I'm just trying to get a sense of if there's anywhere else in Michigan that does this.
Yeah.
I would,
My understanding is that there was a change to the Code of Ordinances
Okay.
that became effective in February of 2025. I'm not sure of the extent of that, if that
Okay.
covers the entire fee-in-lieu program.
okay, thank you.
We can find that out and certainly provide that sort of information when this comes back to Planning Commission and before City Council
Yeah.
sees this.
Yeah, it's just helpful for me to know if like Ann Arbor or Mount Pleasant or Grand Rapids, I mean, Marquette,
Yeah.
like is anywhere that has a similar population with students, Ypsilanti, doing anything like this?
I'm not aware of Marquette or Ypsilanti.
Those are my
No, I mean,
questions, but I
essentially
won't dominate the floor. I have other thoughts, but not questions at this point.
Okay. Any other questions for city staff from commissioners?
I think just a clarifying question, Landon. As we decide to put together a sample motion to move this forward to city council, I think one of the things that's making me uncomfortable about this ongoing conversation is city staff have done a great job of providing us with sort of a suite of options to incentivize developers to do this, right, to create diverse housing types. And I think I would be more interested in, rather than saying like, rather than moving forward just fee in lieu to city council, I would be more interested in how do we develop language, and can we develop language for a sample motion that says fee in lieu or, right, a sort of relevant suite of options. Is that okay?
Yeah, the commission can craft a motion however you would like.
Okay.
You know, and I think to the point about, say, the fee in lieu amount, you know, that sort of detail is, I think, useful to the city council. But that would be the sort of detail that they would bring forward. If you have recommendations along those lines, that would be useful. Similarly, if you're saying fee in lieu or any of these options or any of these options altogether, I think you can recommend how you feel is best. I think the bigger recommendation that we're looking for is which concepts in general, but if you have specific ways that you'd recommend council approach those, that would be great information for them.
So just to be clear, Landon, we should probably just sort of stay at the meta level and say we recommend, I mean, on page 3, for example, of the packet, there are 4 different types of transfer, right? Area 4 transfers, fee in lieu program, housing choice vouchers, and prioritize diverse housing types. If we were to make a broad motion recommending those without a lot of details, without the cost per unit or whatever,
Yeah.
that would be sort of appropriate what we should be doing today, or should we
That would be great.
dig down a little deeper?
If there are specific points where the planning commission feels strongly, though, that you'd say, for example, we think the fee in lieu program is great, but we want you to look at a different number than 5,000. Here's where we're thinking.
Okay.
That could be useful information. I don't think that's required. None of this is required. But the council is looking for your guidance and
Okay.
I guess where you'd like them to go.
Any other questions or comments?
I just build on what you said, Ed. I think we need to move this on. I'm not certain the specific language right now is critical.
Right.
What's critical in my mind is that we move this along and say, yeah, we need some information from the city staff that we can really wrestle with and make some improvements so that we have positioned ourselves and just positioned ourselves better in the eyes of the developers and the community and our city council. So I think that's what's important to me. Well, I thought, Scott, you made a comment in email, and I wanted to just kind of emphasize, you recognized Commissioner, or Chair Sullivan couldn't be here tonight. He did make some comments. I thought they were worth referencing tonight, because I think he captured much of what you just said. So I just want to make sure he's kind of in the conversation.
And thank you for that. I should actually read those comments into the record, because you shouldn't have discussion outside of the planning commission meeting. So I would like to very briefly read his comments.
That's great. Pardon?
You know, if we don't want an OMA.
Yeah,
Sure.
I got that.
And I'll do so after your comments.
Why don't I read them in? I was going to plan on doing
please.
that. So he did write and say, and I appreciate the reminder. This is from Chair Sullivan. I've spent a lot of time thinking about this one, item 7.1. I understand the concerns about the existing ordinance, and I appreciate the thought to revise the ordinance rather than just throwing it out. In my view, this represents a thoughtful way to achieve the policy goals of the current ordinance. However, I don't think discussion should focus on a specific project or even granular specifics that should be in the ordinance. Instead, this is simply authorizing the city staff to draft an ordinance that we could potentially deliberate at a later date should it end up on our agenda. With that in mind, I think this is really a high-level conversation about whether this is worth exploring. I strongly believe that it is, and I would welcome the opportunity to dive into it further. And those were his comments.
Thank you.
Exactly. And you're right. Thank you. All right. So anyway, I think we should get that in the mix, because I thought it was thoughtful. It was complicit with my thinking as well.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Commissioner Chapin.
Yep.
And just one more comment that I want to make is just again to recognize that we have city staff here and also interested parties who'd like to present. We have our Community and Economic Development Director, our DDA Executive Director, and then also two private parties that have asked to present tonight. So I think any of them might be willing to speak on this if you'd like to ask them any questions. If I can just say that, I hope that's okay. But just wanted to show that they're here.
I can address a couple of things you guys are talking about, like the fastest to provide some motivation.
Is if
Is
you
that
like.
okay?
I was gonna say if she's invited.
I have two other comments.
Just a minute. Okay.
I just have two other comments,
Okay.
maybe for the commission to consider, because I am also in agreement of moving something forward here. I'm hung up a little bit on the pieces that you read that are in our packet on the four options to consider. Something that I don't think is reflected in there, and you'll have to forgive me because I keep saying in lieu of, because in my world, we talk about in lieu of services all the time, so I recognize I'm saying it wrong. But the in lieu of fee or whatever, fee in lieu. I am, I think, quite comfortable with some of the examples that are included from the research that city staff did on page 45 around the height bonus option and the bonus unit options. So those would be two things that I would throw out, I think, for commissioners to maybe consider. I mean, we've had conversations in the past, I think, about both of those pieces for developments that were proposed that I think we were like generally amenable to. So I would throw that out as something that I think in addition to those other four that you listed, that I'm at least comfortable recommending to city staff.
Great. Thank
Now
you.
I'm done.
Yeah. No, you have to be done. Anyone else have a comment or anything they'd like to discuss? Would anyone like, I'm not quite sure what to do now. Should we have,
I think if you're interested in hearing from any of the parties that are here tonight, you can invite them up.
Okay.
It'd be nice to meet the new DDA director.
okay.
Marcia, I called you out. I'm so glad you're here.
I'm interested in hearing more.
Okay.
That doesn't shake me up.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Marcia Gaborowski. I'm the new DDA director here for the city of East Lansing. I believe I started at the end of April, and really excited to be a part and understand how this process is going and understanding where we can, on behalf of the DDA. And what I can say, and it's been expressed from businesses in downtown, that, we're seeing our students come back, great. But during the summer months, where the businesses are seeing less and less business this summer, many businesses have said it's probably been the worst summer that they have seen. And so enabling greater density in our downtown and enabling other projects that can bring density. It might be student housing, but it also gives that opportunity for year-round residents that are going to patron our businesses. And so we're excited to be part of that process. Nice to meet you.
Great, thank you very much.
Can we ask her a question?
Sure, can we ask you a question before you leave?
Sorry.
Commissioner Denault,
I'm so sorry.
we're putting you on the spot.
One of the things that I think I would be really interested in hearing your perspective on, we've been hearing for the past couple of meetings from the developer side of things. As the DDA director, I would be really interested to hear your perspective on maybe the housing, what the priorities might be for housing types, right? Like, are you looking, some specifically, the city manager mentions owner-occupied units and housing vouchers, right? And so, you have just mentioned student housing. Like, are there particular housing types that the DDA would be interested in seeing downtown versus others?
That's a great question, and I would say that that would be a conversation that we would want to put on the agenda for the DDA to discuss, and if that's input that you would like them to do, we can certainly schedule that at a future meeting.
That would be wonderful.
So, okay, consider it done.
Thanks.
Before you leave, any other questions from commissioners?
You're not going to let her walk halfway then?
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you again.
Ms. Friedman, would you like to come up to the podium?
I just was jotting down some of the questions that you guys had, and I thought maybe I could address them real quickly. I don't want to belabor any points because I believe I have for the past several weeks. But the spreadsheet that was provided by your wonderful intern here, it does say that the in lieu payments are at Chapel Hill, North Carolina, Boulder, Colorado, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Burlington, Virginia, Portland, Maine, Ann Arbor, Columbus, and State College, Pennsylvania. So all similarly situated to us, I believe. And the one quick word about the $5,000. So $5,000 on the project like the Howard would bring in $2 million, which is obviously significant. You might see other numbers in some of those other ordinances from different places because they're giving tax incentives in other places. So they're getting a savings, these developers are in other spots. So like some of them have provided waivers and they don't have to pay taxes for the next, and I'm kind of spitballing a little bit, 10 to 15 years. So you've got a savings someplace else, so then that's why maybe their per unit price is higher because they're not paying taxes for the next 15 years. So it's not about us trying to get out of it or giving a number that wouldn't make sense just so we can do this development at all. That's actually how Columbus, I believe that number, don't quote me on that, but it was a reasonable number based on how we saw that whole ordinance working together, and $2 million to us, I think, still seems like a very significant amount to be putting into the fee-in-lieu. The financing for the developments, you guys keep asking about that, and it's understandable. Why isn't it working? And developers can continue to tell us that there's just an inability in a lot of cases to find financing for these multi-use types of projects. It's like you get the people who are ready to loan the money out of kind of this one specific direction, and it just doesn't seem to work. And the numbers are showing us that they don't work because our ordinance hasn't been able to allow developers to come in and produce anything under it. So again, it's not about developers trying to find a way around it. They've been looking and they can't, and that's why we're here. And again, even if these things go into the ordinance, the city council and you guys still have the ability to look at all these projects and decide whether they make sense and there's something you want to move forward with. I believe that addressed the questions that you guys were talking about. If you have any other questions, please let me know. I know Greg Ballline is here. He can talk to a lot of even the points that I was talking to earlier, just generally about the state of our community, our economy, that kind of thing. If you want to talk to him, he's happy to do that.
And Carrie, could you just identify yourself for the record, please?
Oh, forgive me. Carrie Freeman. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Are we comfortable making a motion? Do we want to hear from any other members of the audience?
You know, before we do that, there was a question on the table, at least in my mind, about some slides that the public would like to share with us. I would be in favor of that, but if I'm the only one, so be it. Before we make a motion, I think that's out there in the conversation, and I think we should at least say yay or nay before making a motion, in my mind.
What are the slides? What are the slides?
Well, in our second email from Landon today that I'm referencing publicly, I apologize earlier for my
You're fine.
miscue on the Open Meetings Act. But there was a reference to, there are some slides available. They'd like to share a little more information with us. They being Mr. Ballline, and I'm not sure Ms. Freeman as well. But that, I think, might shed some light. Maybe not, but I think it's
Okay.
out there in my mind, and I think we should say yay or nay before making a motion. My input.
Okay. Is everyone agreeable to having, are these the slides that are from MSU, excuse me, the slides are in our packet? But I think
Yes,
they were a
those
late
were
edition.
Oh, these are the slides in the packet.
So they were a late edition, I think. But,
Okay.
But
Okay.
they are in our packet. They're, I think they start on page 70.
Okay.
74.
74.
Okay, I thought it was a different set of slides. I
Right,
reviewed
right,
those,
right.
so that's a little different case here.
But
Okay,
those were sent to us by Mr. Ballin and Ms. Freeman,
Okay.
and they had expressed an interest in presenting those today.
okay.
Yeah, we were happy to talk about them further if desired.
Okay. Any questions about those slides? I looked through them, and I think Ms. Freeman referenced some of them about the population growth and this sort of thing.
Okay,
So I'm okay with
Okay.
not.
Yeah.
I thought it was something different than what's in
Oh,
our
okay,
packet,
okay.
but that's not the case. Okay.
Any other discussions? Anyone else we want to call from the audience? Are we comfortable making a motion?
Landon, can I ask another clarifying question? Would it be easier or even possible to sort of split these four into their own separate motions? I don't know if if planning commission, if fellow commissioners feel like they're ready to move all four forward, or if we're more comfortable with a handful, and maybe that's part of the discussion that would help us formulate a motion.
And that's the commission's prerogative. So if you'd like to make a motion on a specific recommendation, you could do so. You could say, I'd like to move X, Y, Z, but take a vote for each one.
Okay.
That's certainly
Right.
acceptable.
Okay. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I was
Commissioner
gonna say,
Lapine?
I think that maybe I'm overcomplicating it in my mind, but I was gonna say that I'm comfortable making a motion to move forward with having, city staff put together some potential draft ordinances based on these four options.
Yes.
I mean,
Okay.
but I would add a couple pieces personally up for discussion. So I don't know
And we can
what
always come-
process you want to use for that. But I think I'd like to keep it broad.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to clarify, you're talking about the four options in City Manager Bellman's memo to us from July 9th?
I'm talking, probably I am,
Okay.
but I'm talking
Yes.
about what's on page, the beginning of page 3 in our packet.
Yep.
area for transfers, fee-in-lieu program, housing choice vouchers. And then
Okay.
I would add, personally, I would have a couple of things that I would add, but I'm comfortable starting the conversation there if it makes sense.
Okay,
Would you like to
I
Oh,
got you.
boy.
I got you.
present a motion?
I move to direct city staff, ask city staff to develop potential draft ordinances around area for transfers, fee-in-lieu programs, housing choice vouchers, and prioritize diverse housing types. My motion would be with the caveat that the fee-in-lieu program should be higher than $5,000 and in alignment with other cities, and considering the height waiver, and I'm forgetting the other thing I mentioned earlier that I will now find, height and,
Density?
it was bonus unit, height and bonus unit waivers. That was a really messy motion, I'm sorry.
That was pretty good,
I
though.
could do that
Just
again.
Run through it again, that was good.
Maybe.
You're
Probably
on-
not.
You're on it.
I second it.
Okay, so there's been a motion by Commissioner Lapine and a second by Commissioner Sobolewski. Discussion?
If I may, just for
Yeah.
clarifying.
Yep.
So it sounded to me that your motion was to recommend that cities, or I guess the city council would explore in more depth
Yep.
all of the four concepts that were presented to you and reflected City Manager Bellman's memo. But to add to that for the fee-in-lieu program,
Yep.
you would recommend that the city council consider a higher fee than $5,000 per unit.
Correct.
And that you'd also recommend that the city council explore the concepts of allowing bonus height or bonus units in return for these diverse housing
Correct.
units. Is that
Yeah.
accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. And it sounds like you're making the motion all as one.
Yes.
Okay. I think I've actually.
Second.
I brought that.
There was already a second, but you can be a
Already been
third.
seconded? Good. All right, good. All right.
Phase now.
Okay, all right.
So thank you for that. We've had some great motions this evening.
It's a great motion.
Any
Yeah.
discussion?
And we also, I think what they also said what was important was the property tax deal. Is there any chance we can also do a deep dive into, when we're looking at the 5,000 amount, also consider if there's a tax abatement in place to also consider that as well? Because I think that is a big piece of what they're talking about when they're talking 5,000 versus 85,000.
Yeah, and I appreciate that comment, because at the end of the day, I am, from my perspective, I'm not married to a certain amount. I just don't think that we should have a significantly lower amount than other cities. And if that requires something else to also take effect, then fine, I think that's worth discussing, but I don't think we have enough information right now to know whether that's true or not.
I think that's the way I interpreted your motion.
Yeah,
Not as low as 5, but you didn't set a limit.
yeah.
In
doesn't
line
need to be the
with,
highest.
in line with, I thought your motion addressed that. Did it work for you, Thomas?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I just know what they're talking
Yeah.
about in terms
Okay.
of higher
Yeah.
property taxes.
Yep,
they
that's
do.
very valid.
It's not necessarily where they don't pay taxes. They freeze the taxable value for 15 years before construction starts. And once that period ends, then they go up to whatever the market value of the tax is. So I just think that's a big piece of
Yeah.
the puzzle here as well.
Thank you. And, yeah, and I think we agree. I think at this point, though, we're just doing sort of a high-level, motion to move things forward. But
That's
that is
fair.
certainly something we'll talk about when it comes back to us or when it goes to city council.
That's fair.
Okay.
I'm good.
Excellent. Any other comments?
I think two things. One, I think I hesitate having the not $5,000 language in there, because there's nothing stopping the, eventual language coming back to us that's like $5,001, right? And so I think I would appreciate maybe a discussion amongst commissioners, how we feel about specifying a dollar amount. And the other thing that I think I would be interested in hearing a broader discussion from commissioners now that we have a motion on the table is, I super appreciate Commissioner Lapine sort of pointing out those two other incentives that she would be, right, amenable as part of her motion. Again, because I think we're interested as a commission in keeping what we move forward to city council broad. I wonder if we could add language, so maybe this is a friendly amendment, saying we'd be interested in exploring fee in lieu, what were the other ones, height bonuses and unit bonuses?
Yeah.
So calling out those three, but saying or other incentive types.
I like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Is tax abatement.
Yeah.
It can be a combination. It doesn't have to be one.
Correct.
It could be,
Yeah.
If there's 7 things that all work together really organically in whatever we propose, that's ideal.
Correct.
Yeah, because I think my biggest hangup, and I don't want to speak for you, so correct me if I'm wrong, but like my biggest hangup is this is not my area of expertise.
No.
I don't
me neither.
have the knowledge to say whether the in lieu of payment dollar amount is appropriate, because I don't know what the tax
Correct.
abatement or the taxes that developers are paying already. I don't know that.
Yeah.
So I don't think that I can make an informed recommendation to city council on that.
Can I
Correct.
ask a question to maybe clarify that? And Mark, this may be a question for you. Where does the interplay between the DDA and their input on that kind of issue cross into our scope? Are we worried about something that's out of scope for us that would be developed and proposed by the DDA and then we would react to it? Or how does this all come together down the road?
It depends on the type of project that's being presented or has been filed with our planning staff, frankly. The DDA, has control of this property because we've given them the authority to purchase property via state statute once we created the Downtown Development Authority. They also are the brownfield, group as well. And so when we talk about tax abatements, for instance, within the DDA district, that would be first a recommendation from the DDA, both as to both those things, both the brownfield plan and any proposal or development agreement with regard to any project would then also have to be approved by the city council. So, and city council typically on every development project refers it to the planning commission for report and recommendation from the planning commission. So you're going to play a role all the way through it. That's how it has happened with the other projects that we've had in the downtown area, and there would be no reason to change that. You're going to be involved, let me put it that way, probably from almost the initiation of something being filed with the planning staff.
We're not restricted at this point, certainly, by any number or targets. It would
No.
be negotiated over many, many discussions, I'm sure.
Yes, typically, I would say, well, let's just take the Abbott and the Graduate. That was like a 3-year negotiation with 2 or 3 different plans actually approved by both bodies and then withdrawn by the developer based on one thing or another. The same thing's true with the Landmark and the senior housing. I mean, I can't remember exactly how long that took, but it was about a year, I think. And so there's a lengthy period of time that would be spent on all these major projects in the downtown.
Great. Thank you very much, Commissioner Chapin.
Well, I do think we have a motion in front of us, and I think essentially we've said, city staff, help us out. You've heard the discussion. You've had the input from developers, from commissioners, from the community, and I think this conversation, in my mind, gets a lot better. I feel that I can contribute a little bit more if I really have something in front of us that we can really work with, but I think Lauren's motion has said, okay, city staff, help us out here and work on this and get us back to something, because we don't want to let this rest. We do want to move, and we want there to be some development here.
I agree. Any other
I think that's
comments
what the motion does in
from
my mind.
Commissioners? Mr. Bartley, do you feel comfortable with with the motion that we have? Sending it back to you? Okay. Then let's take a vote on it. All in favor of, I'm going to call it Lauren's motion, because I won't make her do it
Don't do
again.
that.
But the motion that Lauren has put forward.
Should we read it again, just to
Yeah,
make sure it was a little, at least the way you recorded it, Landon?
I think it was good the first time.
I guess I have a motion on the table that was made by Lapine, seconded by Sepulevsky, to recommend the four potential, recommend exploration by council of all the four concepts about changing the diverse housing requirement as reflected in City Manager Bellman's letter, with the caveat that the fee in lieu should be explored at an amount higher than $5,000 per unit. Consider tax abatements or freezing taxable value. Also consider height bonuses and or bonus units or other incentive types. I hope that reflects.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm saying nods.
Thomas, that work for you too?
Yeah, it was good.
I was
Okay.
going to say, your original motion didn't have "and other incentive types." That was language that I mentioned. Is
Yeah,
that okay?
that's fine.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
I'm comfortable with that.
Okay.
Are we good? Okay, so let's take a vote then. All in favor of Lauren's motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, it carries. Thank you.
Okay.
Lauren's motion, I like that.
Your
Okay.
finest moment.
Thank you for that great discussion. Let's move on to 7.1, unfinished business. We have a discussion of we're moving on to 8.1, new business. Adopt the 24-25, quote, the bigger picture in focus, end quote, comprehensive plan update. Mr. Bartley.
Thank you. So tonight, I would say is the potential endpoint of about a year and a half, a little over a year and a half process. We came to the Planning Commission at the end of 2023 to request whether or not we should update our comprehensive plan, do a new one, or simply look at it and let it be. The Planning Commission said, let's update, so we went into some early community engagement, identified focus areas, began our widespread community engagement in January with students on campus. I'm sorry, I should mention the focus areas were social equity as an overarching theme, and then within those, or through that lens, housing, public health, and climate resilience. So we had student engagement on campus by a student team from the urban planning program from January through April 2024. We had our comprehensive plan update coordinating committee that was convened early that year, about 30 individuals representing a wide range of boards and commissions, as well as many community stakeholders, and they have been meeting continuously about every month since that time. We brought this to the Planning Commission in March of this year, and then to the City Council in April for distribution for public review, which they did. That concluded in June. We've had a couple of large-scale community events, such as, I think it was Every Plan, Everywhere, All at Once, and then later on, One Plan, Two Plan, Red Plan, Blue Plan, just as a sort of public open house that included the comprehensive plan for a wide-scale review. And then basically we've come up to this point. We had a public hearing by the Planning Commission in July 23rd. City Council also reviewed this last month on July 15th. At that time, they affirmed the Planning Commission's authority as the final decision-making body. And so tonight we're here asking for your adoption of the comprehensive plan update. I did include a sample motion in your staff report on the top of page 4, but I wanted to add, you may notice that I put a resolution to adopt, which is 2 pages long and has many whereas statements, resolution statements, and a space for Chair Joseph Sullivan's signature, and he's unable to be here tonight. I would ask that if you're inclined to adopt this and use the sample motion that I wrote, that you would also include some sort of language saying to approve the draft resolution as included in the comprehensive plan update and authorize Chair Joseph Sullivan to sign. I'd love to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Bartley? Okay, is there a motion for this? I feel like we should have a drum roll, please, but is it, would anyone like to, because of all the great work that's gone into the comprehensive plan update?
I was gonna say, as a member of the commission, or committee that helped put this together, and I don't do motions very often, so I'll go ahead.
Excellent.
You should.
Throw one out
I
there.
think you should.
I move to adopt that the City of East Lansing Commission adopts the 2024-2025 The Bigger Picture in Focus Comprehensive Plan Update, including its text, maps, subplans, charts, graphs, and other descriptive materials, and direct staff to distribute copies to all parties as required by Public Act 33 of 2008, the Michigan Planning Enabling Act as amended, as well as for public inspection at East Lansing City Hall, the East Lansing Public Library, and on the city's website, and authorize Chair Sullivan's signature in the resolution to adopt.
Perfect.
Excellent. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, the motion was by Commissioner Denault and seconded by Commissioner Overbey. Is there a discussion about this?
Well, I think we should take a moment
Think,
to
yeah.
acknowledge the work here. I
Yeah.
think we all want to do that, and since I wasn't on the plan, I would defer to some others, but I think we'd like to spend a moment to compliment our staff and others. So I think those who are on the committee, I think, should start with this.
I'm glad to
please.
jump in. I mean, those of us on the committee went to meetings after meetings and spent a huge amount of time and effort to result in an outstanding product. But I want to especially recognize Landon and his staff, who over and over again listened to our comments and our suggestions and redrafted the materials. And this plan is a success because of all of the work done by the committee members, and especially because of Landon and his staff and the work that you invested in this. Thank you so much.
I think I'd also, though, want to acknowledge our consultants who really helped a lot and did a lot of heavy lifting. I cannot remember the name of their company, but I do remember Lene Wells, who was a wonderful resource, I think, for us. So I echo everything that you're saying, but the consultants, I also really want to acknowledge the wonderful work they did, and all of our community members. Yeah, it was a really eye-opening and wonderful, I think, experience to see just how many stakeholders this plan will influence. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Cool. Excellent.
And I'll just mention that was Lene Wells, the principal of Aligned Planning. She was the lead consultant on the project, and she's also some sub-consultants for the project were Williams and Works. But Lene was the principal on that.
Any other comments?
I would just add, I think it's really, sometimes these beautiful plans get adopted and forgotten, sadly. But I think this is well worth keeping alive and well. And I do think it would be a good thing for the Planning Commission, since we're sort of lands in our court here, to participate in a retreat of some kind and really dig deep. We weren't all on the committee that wrote this, but for us to understand the ins and outs and a deeper dive into this as people come forward at the podium and present ideas and concepts about development, about our community. I think for us to have this, some traction as we respond, is really helpful. I think it would require, a few hours. I know it would be a few hours of our time at another time when we can really just talk and take a deeper dive. I recommend that. So, well worth supporting. Nice job, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
And maybe pathways for implementation too, I think would be.
I'm sorry?
And maybe pathways for implementation.
Yes,
So,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Hear, hear.
So let's vote on this. All in favor of the motion to approve the comprehensive plan update, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion passes unanimously.
There you go.
Thank you, Landon and city staff.
Congrats.
Good job. Hey, what was the date of the rollout? October 2nd, did you say?
That'll be the date of the celebration,
Yes, celebration, October 2nd.
October
Yeah.
2nd, Thursday.
Burn
Thank you,
town.
calendars.
Okay.
Okay, we'll move on to agenda topic number 9, commissioners' concerns. Any commissioners have concerns at this time? Seeing none, we'll move to number 10, adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Okay, motion to adjourn by Commissioner Sobolewski and seconded by Commissioner Overbey. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Say nay. Okay, we are adjourned at 8:02.